All right, welcome everyone. We are back to a live stream here with one of my favorite people from DevRev, somebody who's been here longer than I have, frankly. Drago, how are you?
Hey, hello, Ahmed. Yeah, thank you for the invitation. Nice to be here.
Absolutely. So, folks, for those of you who have been joining us every week, you know that over the last couple of weeks, we've concentrated on probably one of the most core technologies to DevRev, which is what we call AirSync. AirSync allows us to connect pretty much all your critical data and integrations over to DevRev, and it brings it into our computer memory, and that becomes available for you to take actions on, bring insights to the forefront, and of course, it's available on all your most important surfaces. So it's a critical technology, and actually one of the folks that's leading the development and implementation of that technology is Drago. So Drago, I know, well, obviously over the last couple of weeks we've talked about the fact that AirSync allows you to bring data in and respect permissions. We also talked a little bit about how we help facilitate data cleansing and data deduplication. So there's a number of things that goes into having a great data strategy. That includes access provisions, that includes data replication, and the ability to write back to the primary systems of record so you can actually take action in a near real-time way. So we've talked on many of those topics, but today we have yet another very important topic. So I'll let you introduce it.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, we had two episodes on two features that AirSync can do, and are super important. But they're not the only ones that drive the AirSync, to fill the computer's memory. And what we will be talking about today is the topic that, bringing data from different sources, structured, unstructured sources, require you to have also the schemas, the metadata about the objects or record types from the external systems that you're bringing in. And that is also one of the crucial capabilities of the AirSync, to be able to sync the schemas between two systems, and also populate the data in this new schema created in DevRev.
Okay, fantastic. So is there something, maybe we can pop your screen up and start to take a look at what we're talking about?
Yes. So I selected Salesforce, very popular tool, and I will show you on the Salesforce example how we are bringing objects from Salesforce into DevRev and create custom objects in DevRev. So let me start with one custom object that I created. It's called Sprint. You see custom object. I created it a few days ago, and this is the short description, some information that you can create about this object, and the schema with the fields that are assigned. Some of these fields are already populated because they are always required in the object, but I added like sprint start date, sprint name, sprint end date, and also added this asset field. I will talk about that later
Okay.
on.
So, I mean, in just to level set where we are, you kind of have us in Salesforce right now. And Salesforce is obviously a pretty large SaaS product, and it can be very customized as well. So it's not as critical as, it's not as simple as us bringing in a bunch of well-known stock objects. Here, any customer can have this sort of object manager experience for them to create objects just like you have. And here you've created a sprint, and for the developers who are maybe watching us, they probably understand that a sprint is a sort of a well-known agile construct. So here, for the purposes of demonstration, you've created it here in Salesforce. We don't have to necessarily worry about why it's in Salesforce, but it exists here. And now what we want to do is see how it starts to make its way into DevRev.
Yes, correct. But before we do that, let me show you also one thing. So here is also a standard object from Salesforce called case.
Mm-hmm.
I will pull up the case and show you field relationships, fields and relationships that we have here. And you will see that I added on the case, which is stock object in Salesforce, I added a relationship field that relates to that sprint custom object that I created. So now we have, not only the custom object, but we also have a custom relationship with this object from the stock object or standard object called case. Okay?
Yeah, no, makes sense. I mean, look, what you're showing is that these are not standalone isolated objects. They can actually interact with each other as custom objects, but they can also interact deeply with existing stock objects like cases. And I think also when you mentioned required and non-required, there's a lot of metadata that goes with fields as well. I mean, there could be attributes that aren't just about being required or not required. They could even have dependencies within one another, right? So there could be fields that actually are derived in terms of what values can exist in that field, derived from other fields in the same object and what have you. So there's some complex relationships between attributes and objects, such as what you've shown here.
Yeah, correct. So whenever you create for some business reason, you want to model your process, you would create custom objects. And then, of course, these custom objects are not created in vacuum, but you would do the relationship with either between these custom objects or also relationship to some stock objects that are already there. And only then you get this full model of your process that you want to do. And as you mentioned, you can create various fields, and it's not only the relationship. You can have fields of different types with the constraints, with the lists that are allowed, and then of course on top of that, what you discussed in the previous episode, the permissions. So who can access which object, maybe even certain fields can be limited, permissions on, etc. Yeah.
Let's maybe open up a case and have a look at it, see how the sprint field is populated, for example.
Yeah, so let me list. So I have here a list of my cases. So now we are viewing the records in Salesforce, all the cases. I have sync cases from Salesforce case, which wants me to do something. And what I'm looking for is sprint. So I have sprint here, right? And I selected it is Salesforce case sprint in which this is running. So to show you actually the sprints that I created, I have two sprints. One is Salesforce case with custom object sync, and the other is extend Jira Cloud with custom objects.
Got it.
And that is the situation that we have today. Now, to make things even more interesting, let me show you one more trick. Going back to Object Manager in Salesforce, I want to show you one very interesting thing, and that is asset. Asset is a standard object in Salesforce, right? So basically comes out of the box. It has a bunch of fields which you can use or not, depending on the use case. And what I created, I actually created also a few assets. So we have two assets in our Salesforce, and I will show you that even in DevRev we can bring in assets, although you will see the DevRev does not have asset as a stock object.
Makes sense.
So let me go to DevRev. So I'm already in DevRev. This is my environment. Specifically, I'm focusing on AirSync. And this is the list basically of all the AirSync's that I did in the past in my organization. As you can see, the list is long. I even have one Google Drive where mapping is required, but I'll do that after our recording. So maybe let me do the new sync. I would say, okay, select the connection, do the Salesforce. So I already authorized on Salesforce to make things faster. And now I'm at the point to connect. Oh, I have this instance of Salesforce that I prepared for this demonstration. I will have one of the products selected here, and I'm ready to start the import. So now what happens is that we'll see the Salesforce extraction started. So this means that now we're reading all the metadata and schema from the Salesforce. And well, yeah, we're reading that too fast. I'm not talking fast enough. So you see, mappings are already there.
Right.
So now what actually happened, and I'm sure our viewers already saw this in the previous episodes, now is the point where user can do the mappings of their objects and then filter them and then do some object to DevRev object mapping. And now, oh, I have some missing field mappings. Let me fix this immediately. Commit is commit. And this is priority, which is moderate, is a medium for me. Everything is green. I can go to next step, selecting the custom fields that I'm bringing for these custom objects. And I'm done with the mappings. Didn't want to spend too much time on mappings, as you already did this on previous episodes, but now we are at the point where process continues using these mappings to actually transform the data into DevRev object model and knowledge graph and load it.
Got it. And I guess once this is done syncing, we're going to be able to see those sprints here in a list view, for example.
Oh yeah, exactly. And well, it's completed, you see, and we have some things happening here. So what do we have? We have customers, we have tickets, 5 custom objects. So let me show you the tickets that we saw on Salesforce. We had like 3 cases in DevRev. They are imported as tickets. And we were talking, I was showing a sync case from Salesforce, right?
Yep.
I will open this one. You see all the fields from the case in Salesforce were also imported here, and our, sprint field on the case that reference the sprint object is also here. So let me open that sprint for you.
And I see that it's got the C prefix. So it sounds like we've automatically created effectively a sprint type to match the sprint that you had created manually as part of the object manager in Salesforce. So that's pretty incredible. It looks like you didn't even have to set that up in the mapping because you went pretty quick through mappings. It's not like you sat there and did the same stuff that you had done in Salesforce. It was pretty effortless.
Yeah, correct. You noticed it greatly. So one thing is that DevRev stock objects don't have the prefix C, similarly as suffix in Salesforce, but custom objects have this prefix and then the type and number as any other object. And in the mappings you saw, I was just glancing through because everything was already done by the AirSync mapping engine.
Got it. Okay, very nice. So we see that your custom objects are being brought over. What about the relationships? Those were brought over as well, because you saw that the case that was brought over as a ticket here has the relationship with sprints. And of course, we had talked about required fields and optional fields. All of that was respected here as well. What else do we want to take a look at here?
Yeah, so we were now working with the cases and sprints, etc. But let me search for the other sprints that we created, right? So we had 2 sprints. I created 2 sprints in Salesforce. One was the Salesforce case, and the other was Extend Jira. And you can see both were successfully imported. They have the exactly same schema. So if you remember, we had an asset, we had end date and start date, and also the name, which is over here, right? So we brought the schema as it is in the external system. And we also brought all the data into DevRev in the proper manner.
Yeah, that's pretty remarkable. I mean, I think one of the things that makes this quite difficult is the fact that you have to have a fully flexible schema engine, and that's not an engine that tries to create a static schema on the system. It's flexible in multiple dimensions. One is that it's flexible in the sense that ad hoc new objects can be defined as you come up with a recipe for bringing in information from sources. But number two is that those schemas can continue to be revised. So if you were to go into Salesforce and actually change the schema, that change would actually reflect back here as well, which I think is pretty remarkable. I'm not sure if you were going to show us that as well.
Oh yeah, you're right. I mean, that is the main feature. AirSync is called sync, to sync things and keep them in sync. And let me show you that we can actually do exactly that. Let's go to Sprint. I'm in Salesforce Object Manager. I'm opening my custom object called Sprint, and in the real life, when you do the sprint, you also want to have some, let's say, release notes. So
sure.
let's try to create field of that type. So this is now choose the field type that I have. I will say, let's say, text area, and we can do next field label.
I'll let you figure that out. That should take you a minute or so. While Drago's sort of going through the process of creating a new custom field in Salesforce to see if it reflects back in DevRev autonomously, I'll just remind folks that we do have our Discord server, and so we'll probably flash that up on the screen. And I think we look forward to seeing people who are watching these live streams and actually learning something from these. It could be customers, it could be prospects, it just could be people who are trying to understand what new modern SaaS looks like. We'd love to see you discuss some of these things or whatever else you have in mind on our Discord channel. So please join us, become a part of our Discord community. And of course, all of these live streams, including this one and previous archives, are going to be available on YouTube. You can search for DevRev and check out our live streams there if you wanted to see the full catalog. Drago, where are we?
Okay, thank you for inviting people to take a look at the previous episodes, because that would you recorded some really amazing stuff, not only about the AirSync but also other capabilities of DevRev and how we are building all this agent memory. And while I went through the configuration wizard and created this custom field called release notes, which is of type text. And now let's go and add some data into some of our sprints. So go to sprints, maybe select Salesforce, and here we should see the release.
You have to refresh. Yeah, I guess we're still in Salesforce. We're assuming there should be a Salesforce. I am surprised you had to do a refresh, but whatever. We don't want to say anything about that. Okay, this is a very nice feature. Okay.
It's good to have spell checker.
Nice. Okay, so we've created a field. It showed up in the object, the custom object we had created, and we now also populated it for at least one of the sprints. What else do we want to do here before we go take a look in DevRev?
So now we, as you said, we added custom field. We added value into one of the sprints, and I think we're ready to do the sync. So as on previous episodes, my colleagues already showed how periodic sync works, meaning that we are periodically always syncing. I did not configure that for a reason, to show you also that there's an option to do manual sync whenever you want to do it. Even if the periodic sync is configured, you still have this option if you want to force sync immediately at one point in time. And also maybe worth mentioning here, you see, we have syncs in both directions. So DevRev can keep Salesforce in sync, regardless where you make your changes, either in Salesforce or in DevRev. You can sync back also everything changed in DevRev or created in DevRev, sync back to the Salesforce. If, for example, you have a team that works partially in DevRev, partially in Salesforce, then this is a great option to have this, bidirectional sync.
Makes sense. Okay, so let's take a look at the sync. I suspect that'll probably take no more than like 30 seconds, I guess.
Yeah, that should be the case. We need to fetch the data first, the metadata, and then you see the recipe discovery. It discovered the new metadata, and there's a new field coming in, created that schema, loading now the data into a new schema, and it's done. So we have things completed, custom object was updated, and now let me do the search on the Salesforce cases where we actually updated this, and we will be able basically to see our own new field. Oh, I have this open. Let me rerun it.
All right, I'm looking for, maybe do a quick refresh, see where the release notes field is. Do you spot it somewhere? There it is. Okay.
Yeah, here at the bottom.
It's a lot of fields to see on the screen, but yeah, release notes. This is a very nice feature. Fantastic. Is there a way to even control what sequence or what order these attributes show up in? I mean, I saw the release notes is the last one here. I'm sure there's a way to actually customize it so that you can put that at the very top and what have you, correct?
Yeah, so there is an option to customize this, of course. So in DevRev, every object stock or custom, if you extend stock object, you will be able to add more fields, change the order, change the display name, etc. And here I opened also the second sprint object. As you can see, it has the release notes field which comes from schema, but it's not populated because I left it empty in the Salesforce.
Yeah, outstanding. And do we want to maybe populate it here and sync back real quick to see if that works? Okay. All right, so we got that going. I guess since you didn't set up the automatic sync, so we'll just do a manual sync here.
Yeah, I can do it basically from here, sync from DevRev to Salesforce. So okay. Now it will run in the other direction. So let's only select Salesforce to have it here. Mapping required in the reverse direction. So one mapping for the reverse. So we have a blocker in DevRev which is not defined in the Salesforce. So I had to select something to continue, and now the process continues, and we should see what happened. So okay, looks like we should be able to have it here.
You may have to refresh when you go back.
Yeah. Okay, it still takes some time to do it. Well, yeah, I can redo it again. And yeah, is there anything else if you would like to see while we are waiting for the things?
No, I think what I like about, first of all, thanks for going through the entire process, showing. I still like the fact that we don't just assume that we know exactly what we want to call objects or fields. For example, especially priorities, severities. People will want to have some level of human in the loop to actually define what those mappings look like when they're non-obvious. And for any objects that have to be created, I mean, it's great that we automatically create those without making that tedious work somebody's job. So all of that looks great. Obviously, the ability to not just bring in arbitrary schema one time, but to continue to revise that schema and have it within seconds reflect back in either direction is pretty outstanding. What's next here? Because I know that this is a cat and mouse game, right? I mean, being able to support all of these complex systems and their complex schemas, there's got to be an entire roadmap of things that you guys are continuing to work on here. Can you give us a glimpse, maybe a couple of things that we can look forward to in the future?
Yeah. This is a bit unexpected, but I can tell you, I can maybe even show you a sneak peek how it will look like. We are definitely working on, so the whole process of mapping is currently done, as you know, only at the beginning when you are configuring your sync for the first time. But we want people to be able to actually do it also at any later stage, meaning that when you're doing the first sync, you do the mappings, or just stick to the default mappings that we provide, and while you start using it in DevRev, you figure out that there's maybe a better way how to map this, how to bring some fields in, what to use them for, etc. So you would like to go and actually change the mapping that was initially set, and then retransform and reconfigure data so it would use that new configuration of setting. And while doing this, we figure out that there are two flows how people are actually doing the initial mapping, and many times people are looking only to do it quickly, start doing it. Nobody wants to go through all the details for each field, for each enum value that could be in the list, etc. That's kind of annoying, and to avoid that, we will be offering two options. One is very super one-click import, where all the default mappings or missing mappings will be done by the agent, so you don't need to worry about. And then later on, you'll be able to change all of your mappings and do the transformation again. And also there will be an advanced option. So now I can even start showing something. So this is a bit simplified UI, starting with the connection to your external system, and then doing this more complex, where you can do this, and you can go all the way to select the transformation methods between fields, etc. So this is really, really advanced mappings.
Nice. Okay, well, maybe we'll have you back to take a look at that in more detail on a subsequent live stream.
Yeah, glad to do that.
Sounds good. Well, thanks a lot, Drago. It doesn't look like we have any questions on the live stream. So if there are questions that come up later on, hopefully folks can join us on our Discord community and we can have a nice chat there. Just to kind of close out, can we just have a look to see that Salesforce record to see if that data made its way back into Salesforce?
Oh yeah, let's go back to Salesforce. Let me do the. So we have the first one and the second one. Oh, yeah. Unfortunately, I don't see it for some reason. Obviously, okay. This is the live demo effect.
Fair enough. We'll have to take a look at that separately. All right. Well, it's a pleasure to go through this with you. I think there's probably more to talk about in terms of customizability and what the entire recipe management looks like, and what the quicker version of this would look like in the future. I mean, I know a lot of people that are connecting information for the purposes of accessing data. So it's converting structured information into unstructured but retrievable information, so you can ask questions and you can get access to information. However, being able to make it not just retrievable but also actionable, meaning to say that you can access the information conversationally, you can actually take action on it conversationally, but you can also take action on it through more traditional means, like what you just showed us, going to a list view or a record view, making changes and having them reflect back in either direction, what have you. I think that's pretty special. And of course, it introduces a little bit more complexity in terms of configuration, but it sounds like we continue to sort of make our way through that complexity to try to make it further and further simplified. So I'm looking forward to seeing where that takes us in the coming weeks and months. So thank you again. I think we're done with our 30 minutes. Drago, it's a pleasure to talk to you. And folks, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.